mother's case. So we're waiting on that to take place and go through. And after that is taking place, I'm going to turn around and resue the judge in Cobb County for exercising unlawful subject matter jurisdiction. He will be financially liable to me. Then from that, I'm going to also sue the Fulton County Probate Court, Miles Braxton and Angela McCullough. And if I may even go after the judge as well, because she is a part of a civil conspiracy, so her judicial immunity is also off the table. Kenya Johnson, for those of you who don't know, she is corrupt. And let me also say to everyone, if you would like to call in on my show, the number is 470-470-708-1833. Again, 470-708-1833. And I got a lot of feedback last week, matter of fact, all week, from those of you who listened to my show for the first airing. And a lot of you are stunned at what I was saying. And some of you don't believe what has happened, and it is true. Anything that I say concerning my late mother's estate case is true, and it is public record. I will always say, if you have a will in Fulton County, you better be very careful as to who you nominate to take the place of you when you pass away, because if they have ulterior motives, it's going to show. I don't care if it's your children or someone or a nephew or a cousin or whomever. Make sure you know who you are nominating to be your executor or your executrix of your estate. And as far as I'm concerned, I would strongly suggest have more than one. It needs to be at minimum two, not one, minimum two. So one can't overrule the other. But one thing I would say to anybody who is nominated in a will, whatever you do illegally, you will be liable for. Double liable to any of the heirs or beneficiaries of an estate. So you better be mindful of what you do. But everything I've said last week is true and correct, and it is also public record. My late mother, Fanny Pitts, passed away on March 19, 2008. She died of a severe asthma attack, and she'd always have had asthma, but it took her this time. And however, there are many people who deal with asthma, and I've been doing things centered around that as well because, in honor of her, I certainly wanted to do some things for those people who also suffer with asthma. And again, when you think about your good health, always make sure that you take care of yourself first. My mother was the type of woman that she always wanted to make sure others were taken care of. And sometimes she took care of others more so than she took care of herself. And there was nothing I could say about that or do about that because she was her own woman. But I'm going to say to any of you, make sure you take care of yourself before you take care of others. Make sure of that because your health is very important, very important. So let me get into what happened with my mother before she passed. My mother went to Cleveland, Ohio, because she had a will to do for someone on her father's side in the family. And she came back on the morning of March 19th, and that's when she had the severe asthma attack and she passed. But again, she did have a will. And when I hear lawyers saying, "Oh, you should have a will, you should have a will, get a will," yeah, you should get a will. But the problem is the judges, the probate court judges who are sitting on the bench. That's the problem, and the person that you nominate. And for all of you who may not have a will, Georgia law has laws in place to protect you as well. There is no legal requirement that you have a will. So don't feel bad if you don't have a will. Now, I'm going to say this to you. When you hear some lawyers say, if you have a will and you have personal property, you have all these different things, at least it tells the judge who you want to have it. Well, in Fulton County, you may have a will, but if the judge allows the person that you nominate to sell your property or whatever against your intent, they're allowing them to do it. And I'm going to prove that to you. And eventually it's going to go public. It's like you don't even have a will in Fulton County. You may say, "I give, bequeath, and devise my house to my daughter." or my son, and you name them. Well, if the person who is the executor or the executrix of the estate wants to deprive your son or your daughter of that house, the judges in Fulton County are going to make sure that they deprive your children of that. And that happened to one of my friends. But luckily, and I'm going to say we, clouded the title on his father's property, and the person to whom has the property now can't do anything with it, can't legally do anything with the property, and it's going to go to court. And the probate court also tried to prevent Michael Burke from his day in court, depriving him of his 14th Amendment right to procedure due process. So we're certainly going to deal with that down the road too. Kenya Johnson, I don't care who may like her, she is corrupt, and I'll say it to her face. Kenya Johnson is no better than Pinkie T. Toomer. There are people in Fulton County. I just wonder how many people, litigants rather, who has been to court and has been deprived of their day in court, their 14th Amendment right to procedure due process being violated by Kenya Johnson, Miles Braxton, Angela McCullough, those liars. And then you have the Superior Court exercising unlawful subject matter jurisdiction to keep litigants out of the court. And see, one thing about those orders from any court, when a Superior Court judge exercises unlawful subject matter jurisdiction, any order that they draft is void. It is a void judgment. Void judgments have no power or effect, and they can be attacked at any time by any person and in any court. I would like for any of you to fact check me by Googling OCGA 91160. Again, OCGA 91160, and also OCGA 91216. Those are statutes that deal with void judgments. Anytime a judge lacks subject matter, either personal or subject matter jurisdiction, those judgments can be attacked at any time in any court by any person. And when I say by in any court, that even means municipal court. A void judgment is what it is. It has no respect at all. And so when you talk about wills, the most important thing that anybody should have is a will, I would say. But the problem again is the deprivation that's going on in Fulton County. And I do look forward to go public with this story because the media, it refuses to do my story because they know I have the facts on these judges. And what I have come to find out, everyone, is the media. That goes for Channel 2, Channel 5, Channel 11, Channel 46. A lot of these media outlets I have contacted. They will not do my story on the Fulton County Probate Court or the Fulton County Superior Court because they have relationships with these corrupt, black robe wearing tyrants, and they will not do the story. And I'm so glad that we do have the internet because with the internet, I can still tell my story. You would think that the media, of all people, they're worried about Donald Trump, but they're not concerned about what's going on in the probate court of Fulton County. People are dying every day. That's why I created this show too, because I want you to be told the truth. I don't want any of these families to be misled when you go into the Fulton County probate court, whether you have a will or not. I want you to know that Kenya Johnson, she is not a probate court attorney, or should I say she's not a probate attorney. She used to be a magistrate court solicitor. See, and one thing I find strange, and I'll never understand it, is that as long as you have a law license, you can be any judge in the court that you want to be. Isn't that interesting? She is not a probate attorney. Do your own homework like I did. She was a solicitor in the magistrate court of Fulton County. She needs to go back. Better yet, she needs to be out of the law, just law, period. I don't care who likes that woman. I don't. She is corrupt. Just like she did, Miss Sherrington, who was on my show last Saturday. You see what she did to her? Sitting on a bench, basically taking notes. This woman's father has daughters and a son that could be in charge of him. But Kenya Johnson wants to make sure her corrupt tyrants who works with her get paid off this man's estate. They're swiping this man's credit card without her knowledge, without the children's knowledge. Now, what if he didn't have 15, 16, $17,000 in the bank? Interesting, isn't it? Carmela Sherrington is her name. Remember her name. She was on my show last Saturday. Her father is basically under Kenya Johnson's touch right now, as corrupt as she is. Now, why wouldn't you allow this man's children to be his guardian or his conservator? Why would you bypass this man's children? And see, that's the same thing with the will. When there basically when there is no will, all property automatically vests to the children, the heirs of the estate, until somebody is appointed. And see, when there is no will, everybody, depending upon how many heirs it is, you all have to nominate somebody. Let's just say you got 5 brothers and sisters. Okay, everybody come together and say, I want I want brother B to be the administrator, or if there's a woman that you want to be the administratrix of the estate. Everybody says that's who we want to be the administrator or the administratrix of the estate. Once that person has been nominated, then you all have to fill out a petition for administrator. And then you go file it in the probate court. And once that person gets appointed, if there is a house, if there are cars, or whatever, that person can legally title those things over to you. That's what the administrator, or if there is a will, the executor or the executrix can do. But the problem in Fulton County, and I don't doubt it's in other counties as well, I can only be concerned about Fulton County because that's where I'm at. And Fulton County is corrupt. The biggest problem that I'm seeing in Fulton County is that a judge like Kenya Johnson is allowing what the previous probate court judge did to us to stand. And see, when you have cases that are open, you have every right to go to court. I filed a petition for the settlement of accounts last January, just like Michael Burke did, just like another friend of mine, John Blash, and none of us has gone to court. But now, though, things are getting ready to change, because now that lawsuits are being filed, the corruption is getting ready to expose itself, and I'm certainly going to hit Fulton County with a $5 million lawsuit. I've already filed my anti-light-up notice. So all that's been taken care of. And let me also say that to you all too. Before you can sue the county, I don't care what county in Georgia that you want to sue, before you can sue the county or any particular elected official, you must file an anti-light-up notice. An anti-light-up notice is pretty much notice to the county or to whomever who's violated you that you're considering filing a lawsuit. Then the county, once you serve the county with your anti-light-up notice, then they have within 30 days to respond back to you. Once they respond back to you, whether they respond or not doesn't make a difference. Once you have done what Georgia law requires you to do, you have the legal right to go ahead and file a lawsuit against the county. And that's what I've already basically done. I'm starting with Cobb County first, then I'm coming back into Fulton County. Because when you deprive someone of their right to go to court, which is a violation of your 14th Amendment right to procedural due process, there is no immunity for that. Not at all. A judge lacks subject matter, basically judicial immunity, as well as any court official. They lose their qualified immunity. See, that qualified immunity and judicial immunity is only when you have subject matter jurisdiction to do what you're doing. And for those of you who have emailed me, because I did pretty much give out my email address, I've got emails from some of you who have said to me, how can a judge violate you how can a judge violate you as long as they're within their subject matter jurisdiction? Oh, you don't think that can happen? That's why I said to everyone, Google it. Yes, a judge can violate you. Yes, a judge can violate you as long as they are within their subject matter jurisdiction. It's true. It is true. Just Google judicial immunity. That's all you have to do. And read what a judge can do to you as long as they have subject matter jurisdiction. And it's horrible. I know. One thing again, I'm not going to sit here and ever tell you anything that's not true. These judges in Fulton County, they know what they're doing is illegal. And for those of you who vote, because again, I don't vote. I'm not a registered voter in Georgia, and I never will be. I have absolutely no reason to vote for any of these corrupt tyrants and these liars. I have no interest in voting for anybody in Fulton County. Matter of fact, no county, because they're liars. They're self-serving liars. And I will never tell any of you, you know, not to vote if that's what you choose. But I am going to say, don't vote for this person or that person. And I'm certainly going to say that's my First Amendment right to do so. I've never seen so many elected officials so concerned about Donald Trump and these gangs, just like Fani Willis. She corrupt too. She's just as corrupt, and I can say that, and I would say it to her face. And I have legal documents with her email address attached to it. Is the reason why I can call her corrupt. Just like Sonia Allen, the deputy district attorney for Fulton County in the anti-corruption division. I met with her, as well as her investigator Baez, in April of this year. Gave them documentation, bank statements, everything, showing them the theft of in my mother's estate. That was in April of this year. Do you know, here we are in October. I emailed Sonia Allen. I also texted her investigator, wanted to get an update. When are we going to, when is she going to take action? Haven't heard from her. Have not heard from Sonia Allen, the deputy district attorney for Fulton County's anti-corruption division. Google her. You'll see I'm not lying. She is the deputy district attorney for the anti-corruption division in Fulton County, the DA's office. You may even see a picture of her as well. And her investigator is Investigator Baez. I have the text messages to prove it. Like I said, eventually I'm going to publicize every single thing that I have. I don't have any respect for any of these people. And Fani Willis is so corrupt herself. She's so worried about a phone call from Donald Trump. And yet you can sit here and say to everybody that you have been concerned about street gangs. There is a gang right there in the Fulton County Courthouse, 136 Prior Street, that she is willfully ignoring. And it's been like that for many years, well before my mother passed. See, I didn't get legally educated. I wasn't even concerned about all that until after my mother passed. It's very interesting, but it's true. There is corruption in a lot of courts. Don't be misled by the fact that, just because just like these police officers, the Fulton County Sheriff's Office, they're corrupt too. You see what's going on in the Fulton County Jail? See, that new sheriff, Patrick Labatt, he needs to be voted out of office as well. See, now that these inmates are getting killed over there in that jail, he has no choice but to show his ugly face on the news. See, he's trying to save that face. He knows he's doing a poor job. He's so busy running behind Fani Willis, trying to make a name for himself, that the Fulton County Jail, they're basically killing each other over there. So here he is now coming out, trying to show his ugly face, trying to make himself look like he's concerned about all of the murders and all of the crime going on in the Fulton County Jail. Now he wants to get the city jail. That's not going to change nothing. That man probably don't even go to the Fulton County Jail. Don't be misled by what you see on the news. Patrick Labatt is trash. I have text messages between myself and that trash. When I tried to file complaints against two Fulton County sheriffs who lied on me, who never even showed up in court, he took no action against them. And yet, that's the same sheriff who's talking about street gangs. He have the same issue working for him, and he knows that. Don't be misled, people. Because again, as long as you live in Fulton County, get educated. Get legally educated, people. Get legally educated like I did. It's the best thing I could have ever done. But of course, I learned estate law from a real probate attorney. And see, that's one thing that the probate judges know about me. as well as Superior Court. I know how to draft court documents just like an attorney. Ask about me. I can prove that. Just go on my, matter of fact, I want to again go and give out my information. You can go to my blog, jamesisajeweler.blogspot.com. Again, jamesisajeweler.blogspot.com. Also, if you want more factual evidence on me to prove that when I say I do something, I do it, go to my Twitter page, twitter.com/James is a jeweler. Again, twitter.com/James is a jeweler. Look at all the people I tagged on my Twitter page. Just look at the many people I tagged. And I've had some of you, when you've emailed me, you've called me, and you've gone to my Twitter page just to fact check me. And I'm glad that many of you have done that. And you clearly see I don't lie about what I say. It's very important to be truthful because, see, here sits the problem. When you start telling lies about what you say you do, just like you may lie about what happened to you in court, then you have a problem. Then you could be looking at getting sued yourself. You could also be looking at criminal charges. You don't want to do that. My mother has been deceased for over 14 years. She died on March 19, 2008. And my mother's estate is still open thanks to the corruption in the Fulton County Probate Court. And I'm also going to file to be the executor of my late mother's estate, period. Because I'm the one that buried her. I'm the one that paid her bills, even though my cousin was nominated and appointed to do all those things, which he did not. And Pinkie Toomer, was as corrupt as she was, she made sure he didn't have to. But I'm certainly going to file to be the executor of my late mother's estate once my mother's case is transferred to Clayton County. Because Edward R. Downs Jr. and everybody, you can Google him, and you will see how I have just destroyed him on the internet. Edward R. Downs Jr. His law firm is Ed Downs and Associates. When you Google him, you will see, you'll probably see all of my information about him. I have destroyed that man. And I've had some of you even ask me, has he ever sued you for defamation or slander? For what? What defamation? What slander? There is no defamation. There is no slander. Not over here. I have physical bank statements that you can fact check me. You will see what he did to my late mother's estate. Just go to jamesisajeweler.blogspot.com. Again, jamesisajeweler.blogspot.com. When you go to my blog, that first blog you will see, because it's about, attention all disbarred attorneys. That's the blog post I want you to click on. When you click on that first blog post at the top, you will see links to my mother's bank statements and other documents. You will see what that liar, Edward R. Downs Jr., did in my late mother's estate. That's why he will eventually be arrested. He will also be disbarred, and I'm going to go after all of his personal assets as well for what he unlawfully did to my late mother and I. See, that's what can happen to you executors and executrixes and administrators and administratrixes of estates when you knowingly violate the law and the beneficiaries or heirs of estates. And for some of you, I know I've had some of you who have emailed me and called me and said, I don't think I could have dealt with this for as long as you have. You are a strong person. Your mother would be proud of you. Honestly, I don't need my mother to be proud of me at all. My mother knew what type of person I was when she was alive. My mother always knew I would never allow somebody to disrespect her. I don't need a pat on the back. I don't need a thank you. I don't need any of that. That was my mother. Because I know my mother would have done it for me. She might not have lasted as long as I have, but I know my mother would not have given up on me either. It is so much corruption in these courthouses against pro se litigants. It's a mess. And see, what they're hoping that many of you do is go broke fighting them. But that didn't happen with James Pitts. And it never will. I promise you that. The most important thing that I could have ever done is got legally educated. Because that was my best way of being able to catch the lies, catch just all the lies the judges was telling me and writing on paper. And all of the orders from the probate court are no good. All of it is no good. And that's what's so interesting about all of that. Getting legally educated, everybody, is very important. Make sure you know who you're dealing with. And for those of you who may have a will, even if you don't have a will, I strongly suggest to many of you families, you need to come together and you need to certainly, and also you may want to video your meetings with each other, because again, video is just as important as that will. Because when you video how you feel about your house, your car, and all those things, and of course everybody has a copy of it. Can't, if something happens to you, can't nobody say, well, she wanted me to have this, he wanted me to have that. We have a video that says otherwise. Even if your mother read her, or your father read his own will on video, and then and if any of you have questions, any of the children have questions about anything, your mother and father can say, this is what I meant when I said this in my will. See, it's all about the intent, everybody. That's what the Supreme Court of Georgia clearly goes by, is the intent of the testator. The testator's intent must prevail. And the testator means the person who nominated you, or nominated someone in the will to be over their estate. The testator is the person who owns that house, who owns that car. That means your mother, your father. That's the testator, and the testatrix means a woman. Testator means man. Testatrix means woman. The person who will that belongs to, that is the testator or the testatrix. The person who is nominated to be the executor or the executrix, they're in the will. Everybody else is a beneficiary or an heir. And honestly, everybody, your mother and your father can legally give their house, car, money, whatever, to whomever they want. They don't have to legally give it to you as their children. So let's not even confuse that. Your parents can give their personal and real property. They can will it to anybody they want, and there is absolutely nothing you can do about it. Just like your parents can disinherit you by just not even putting your name in a will. All they legally have to do is not put you in that will, put your name in that will. That means you have been disinherited. And can you get a lawyer and call yourself trying to fight that will? Absolutely not. There is case law that says that. If you have not been named in a will, you have no legal right to hire an attorney to say, oh, that's my mother, that's my father, that house belongs to me too. Well, you better put your name in that will, because if your name is not in that will, you have been legally disinherited. You have no interest to convey. You have nothing to fight for. And I'm going to say this to you all too, because I'm beginning to see, matter of fact, since I've been dealing with my late mother's passing, I've been speaking with people who've been calling me, even over the years, been calling me and telling me about parents who may have dementia and Alzheimer's. Let me tell you all something. There is case law. I'm going to be giving out the cases coming up too, that I strongly suggest you read. If you all think that you can get over on your parents because they have dementia and Alzheimer's, you better think again. Getting all these doctors to write up these papers and whatnot, absolutely not going to work. When it goes to the appellate courts, you're going to get shut down. And I'm going to tell you now, if these doctors want to risk losing their medical licenses, and these lawyers want to risk losing their law licenses, trying to go along with you for some legal fees, like some of these lawyers have lost their law licenses, you better watch yourself. There is case law been out for years, and new case law coming out. If your mother has dementia, guess what the Supreme Court says about that? Let me tell you what the Supreme Court says. If your parents know their name, if they know their address, if they know who they are, even if they have an early set of dementia, they have the legal right to draft a will. You can't say that somebody coerced them or basically did something to them in their will. That's not going to work. Your parents have a legal right to draft a will. So when you call yourself contesting that will because you're trying to say there was undue influence, oh, this person, they made them put this in the will and that in the will. Don't waste your time, people. Don't waste your time. That's why I'm going to say to any parents who have a will, whether you have a will or not, make sure that you have a family meeting. And if you know that your parents have, and so some of you children are shady too. You basically will take the fact that your parents may be elderly or they may have a certain disease or whatever, and you try to use it to your advantage to try to get their assets. That's really interesting. You shouldn't be doing that because see the problem is this: if you turn around and try to deprive your parents of of their houses and their cars, putting their house and cars in your name, using a power of attorney, you're going to end up in jail. And then anything that you sold, you're gonna get you're basically gonna have to repay for that. And I've noticed that a lot, and I've been hearing a lot of those cases as well. You better watch that. Stop taking your parents' assets by drafting up these powers of attorneys and putting their houses in your name, putting their bank account, putting your name on their bank account, stealing their money. You're gonna end up in prison, and you're gonna disinherit yourself because that's legally what's gonna happen. You will disinherit yourself. See, one thing I would suggest to all of you children, you heirs and beneficiaries, you might want to Google financial elder abuse or elder abuse, but primarily financial elder abuse. You could get up to 20 years in Georgia for that, up to 20 years. And you will be disinherited as well. I promise you that. If you steal from your parents, you will basically disinherit yourself. And then you're going to have to pay restitution to the other heirs or beneficiaries of the estate. And it's true. There is case law, and I'm going to give you one case. Matter of fact, I'm going to give you one case that I want you all to go and look up. This case it's called Benefield v. Martin, but I'm going to give you let me give you the date too. It's a very interesting case. Matter of fact, it's Greenway v. Hamilton. And it's decided in 2005. Google Greenway v. Hamilton, then 2005. Read that case. Read what happened to a son who took advantage of his mother, stole her money. He felt like, and he even had the audacity on appeal to say just because he wasn't appointed yet, that the probate court had no jurisdiction over him to make him pay anything back. You want to bet? Read Greenway v. Hamilton, decided in 2005. Just put in on Google Greenway v. Hamilton, 2005. Pull that case and read it. And I want you to read what the Supreme Court did to him. And there's another case too that I want you to Google: Benefield v. Martin. Let me give you that year as well. It's Benefield v. Martin. As a matter of fact, the Greenway v. Hamilton is 2006. Benefield v. Martin is 2005. Again, Benefield, that's Benefield v. Martin. And it was decided in 2005. And again, Greenway v. Hamilton decided in 2006. I want you to Google both of those cases, and I want you to read them. If you want to know what will happen to you on appeal when you think that you're going to get away with stealing from the estates of your family and depriving the heirs and the beneficiaries of estates of what is legally theirs, you have a real big problem. You will have a real big problem. And see, that's one thing I will say, even when it comes to my late mother's case. See, when you have this civil conspiracy going on in Fulton County to keep you out of a courtroom, because see, they know how legally educated James Pitts is. And they think, oh, if we get him in this courtroom, because see, I know how to represent myself in court. I learned that from my probate attorney as well. Yeah, I know how to go in that courtroom, just like a licensed attorney does. I know how to go in that courtroom and present my case. Even if I wanted a jury, I know how to select the jury, all of that. My probate attorney taught me all that as well. And some of these judges, they want to know so bad who this probate attorney is. You'll never know. You could, even if you try to hold me in contempt, I would still not tell you. And if you violate me, I'm going to sue you, because I don't have to tell you anything. I can plead the fifth, and that's just how I feel today. I plead the fifth. It's not your business. A black robe doesn't scare me. It never has, and it never will. A badge and a gun doesn't scare me. It never has, and it never will. You are corrupt in Fulton County. I want you all to get legally educated, and I want you all to start having family meetings when it comes to your wills, whether you have a will or not. Because again, in Fulton County, whoever you nominate to be the executor or the executives of your state, If they want to take advantage of your the other children, or basically sell your property or do it, steal your money out of the bank, Kenya Johnson, just like Pinkie T. Toomer, is going to allow it, and that's true. I look forward to showing this publicly because as these cases go through the courts, now that I have a very good civil rights attorney involved, Mario Williams, he is my civil rights attorney, Mario Williams. You can Google him. You can, and matter of fact, Mario Williams just, if you Google what he just did in Alabama, there was a case he handled where a black man got killed by the police, and they planted a gun on this man too. Well, the police in Alabama just settled for $2.5 million. Google the case. Mario, you can just Google Mario Williams represents Alabama family whose son was killed by the police. You'll see the case. Yeah, that's how good Mario Williams is. I cannot wait till these corrupt tyrants start responding to my lawsuit. I can't wait to read what they're going to say as their reason for keeping me out of a probate court, because I want to make sure that a liar and a thief by the name of Edward R. Downs Jr. and my dirty no good cousin James Wilburn are eventually arrested, and they're both going to be financially liable to my late mother and I, as well as those corrupt tyrants sitting on the bench that work for the Fulton County Probate Court and the Cobb County Courts. You would think that my mother had millions of dollars and so much property with the way this has been handled. And when I have people say to me, I'm so sorry that happened to you, don't be sorry for me. No, don't be sorry for me, because see, I think in more ways than one, this was meant to happen to a person like myself and my late mother, because I'm a strong person. And through what happened to me, I can educate the masses, and I can help the masses, and I can teach the masses. True. That's the thing. Never be sorry for me. Don't be sorry for me. Be thankful that it happened to me. That's what I would suggest that you do. I'm the one for these corrupt tyrants in Fulton County and any other county. I'm going to show you all how to certainly take them to court. Get you an attorney. I'm already working on my own legal team, because I'm going to have a bevy of attorneys that I'm going to be working with to help you. If a judge violates you, if an executive violates you, if an administrator violates you, we're going to go after them. We're going to shut them down. And if a judge allows them to steal from your late mother's estate or your late father's estate, and deprive the heirs or beneficiaries of an estate, we're going to hold them accountable. And if that judge allowed that, we're going to push to get them off the bench. I don't care about their judicial immunity. You should not be sitting on a bench allowing anybody to violate beneficiaries or heirs of estates, or even the deceased person who had a will, whether they had a will or not. And then you have superior court judges in the Fulton County Courthouse exercising unlawful subject matter jurisdiction to make sure that you don't have your day in court. But see, here's a problem with that. Once a judge lacks subject matter jurisdiction to violate your 14th Amendment right, or any of your constitutional rights, they can be sued. They can be sued, everybody, for financial liability to you. As long as they're within their their jurisdiction, you can't sue them. They enjoy that judicial immunity. And again, you don't have to be a lawyer or a judge to know what you're doing is illegal. You don't have to be that. You know right and wrong, just like you know if you put your hands on a stove, you're going to get burned. You know if you step out in front of a moving car, you may get hit. How would you not know that you can't keep somebody out of a courtroom? That would be a violation of their 14th Amendment right to procedural due process. You have a right to go to court. If you have filed your documents and paid your fees, you have a right to be heard before a judge. You have a right to notice, a hearing, and an impartial tribunal under the 14th Amendment. You have that legal right. And that's what has been the problem in Fulton County. I have been deprived of that. Michael Burke, my friend Michael Burke, another friend of mine, John Blash, and apparently my good friend Carmela Sherrington has been deprived of our 14th Amendment right to due process, all because of trash like Kenya Johnson Miles Braxton, who is the staff attorney, as well as Angela McCullough, the judicial legal assistant in the Fulton County Probate Court. I can't wait to put them names on a lawsuit. I'm gonna love it. And everybody, if you go to my Twitter page, matter of fact, I'm on TikTok. I have a video on TikTok where I went into the Fulton County Probate Court to file my motion to transfer my late mother's case to Clayton County. And Angela McCullough is the trash that's in the video with the black mask on her face, with the two ponytails on her head. She looks like a deer caught in headlights when I came in. And matter of fact, I had a sheriff behind me. You all don't see the Fulton County sheriff that's behind me. But I was escorted. I wanted to make sure I went up to the probate court with a sheriff escort. And as of now, let me tell you what happened. My attorney, Mario Williams, he called down to the Fulton County Probate Court last month, and he inquired about my motion to transfer my late mother's case to Clayton County. Do you know what the receptionist told him? She doesn't have a record of me filing it. My attorney said, ma'am, I have a physical copy of my client's motion to transfer in my hand that's a court stamped copy. She didn't know what to say then. I'm going to tell you what they're doing. What they're trying to do is do what that Cobb County judge told them to do. Not allow me to file documents on my mother's case, but that can't happen. I already filed it. See, I would always say to any of you, if you file anything in the probate, matter of fact, any court, but I'm speaking of the probate court because that's what my show centers around, the corruption in the Fulton County Probate Court. If you file any documents in that courthouse, make sure you get another copy that is court stamped for your own records. And always keep your documents in a place where you can get to them. Because when you have corruption in a courthouse, they can easily say, oh, we don't have a record of you ever filing that. We didn't see that. But you can go back to your own files and say, oh, you're a liar. Here it is right here. I have a copy of it. Never file anything in any court and not get a copy of it. That is court stamped copy. That's stamped by the court. You will thank me later. But that's what's going on in Fulton County. Excuse me. This has been going on for over 14 years, everybody. But now that I'm filing lawsuits, now that we get ready to go to court, this is going to be interesting. I'm going to put all the documents online for everybody to read. I love full disclosure. I want you to read everything because I want you to learn from what I went through. In the event you have to do the same thing. And some of you probably will have to do the same thing. But at least you will have a resource and you'll have a reference to work from. And I'm going to be that source for you. Because even after I clear up the lies and the theft and have this attorney arrested and disbarred and my cousin as well and have these judges dealt with, I'm not going to just stop. No, I'm going to help others. I intend to help others to make sure that you don't have a problem. Even though I may clear up my mother's case coming up, I'm going to certainly be a reference to many of you. I think I'm going to create a foundation as well in my mother's name. And I'm certainly going to have a legal team of lawyers, several lawyers, that I can say, I'm going to put this lawyer on your case. When you contact me and tell me what's going on, I'm going to put the lawyer right on it. We'll meet with the lawyer, and you can talk to myself and the attorney that I have, and they can let you know what's going on. And if we feel that the case needs to go forward, then we're going to put that case forward. I think that's very important. When it comes to us in the Black community, well, let me also say this too. I fight for all races of people, not just Black people. Corruption is corruption. And it's so interesting that it took my mother's passing for me to get an understanding of just what this, quote, legal system is about. Yeah. It's been interesting. And then you have a woman like Funny Willis not doing her job. You have the Fulton County District Attorney's Office not doing their job. Has verified documentation from James Pitts, not just concerning my late mother's estate, fake deeds, false deeds filed on property, on my friend's father's house, all of that. The deputy district attorney, Sonia Allen, haven't heard from. That's Fulton County for you. When the election time come around, and here's another thing too, Stacey Abrams, that other nonsense that's going up against Herschel Walker, all of them. I tagged all of them too on Twitter. Never heard from any of them. But these are senators. Raphael Warnock, whatever I guess it's Raphael Warnock. I don't know. Whatever. Tagged him too. All these senators, these lawmakers, okay, quote lawmakers, even the lawmakers in the state capitol. Just go on my Twitter page, twitter.com/James is a jeweler. Twitter.com/James is a jeweler. You will see the people that I tagged. You will see I don't lie about what I say. This is how serious my late mother's case is. And I haven't heard from any of these people. But here they are with all these attack ads all over the TV. Every time one comes on my TV, I change the channel. I don't even want to hear that nonsense. Because when you can basically turn a blind eye to what I'm telling you about, showing you documents online, and I don't hear from you, and you are a quote lawmaker, an elected official, and I don't hear from you for months. I'm not saying I have to hear from you immediately, but you mean tell me a month go by, 2 months go by, I still don't hear nothing from your office. But when it's time for a election to come around, here you all over my TV begging me to vote for you. No, that goes for any of them. I don't care for any of them. That's what's going on in Fulton County, people. And again, if anybody wants to call on my show, 470-708-1833. Again, 470-708-1833. Again, 470-708-1833. You got to understand, people, when I created this show, it's all about information here. Yes, the Fulton County Probate Court is allowing houses to be sold against the law, against your will. False deeds can be filed on your property. Yes, your money can be stolen. And for those of you matter of fact, I had two people ask me about what I was talking about last Saturday as well, about a woman's house was taken in the Old Fourth Ward District. For those of you who want to pull that story, you just go on Google and put in elderly woman's house stolen through deed fraud. Elderly woman's house, no, Atlanta elderly woman's house stolen through deed fraud. You will see the case. Kenya Johnson was behind that. The current Fulton County Probate Court judge. Her, Miles Braxton, and Angela McCullough. Everybody, a woman went to the probate court last year in February, filed a false document called a petition for a letter of administration. She basically lied and said she was the daughter of this person who's not even dead. She used somebody's name who was similar to this woman who's still alive. She got appointed by the Fulton County Probate Court. That woman turned around, went and took this woman's house, and she sold her house. And see, this is the interesting thing. The woman was out of town, who actually owns the house in the Old Fourth Ward District. She was out of town at the time. So when she came back to town, she went over in the Old Fourth Ward District to check on her house because she said the house had been in a fire. So she had the house boarded up, she kept the grass cut, whatever. But this particular day, she went to her house to check on it, and there was a bulldozer in the front yard knocking her house down. And she said she went up to the man and asked him, "Why are you knocking down my house? I didn't put my house up for sale." And that's how she found out. But again, if you want to go pull that, because it's on Channel 2's website, you can put in on Google, elderly woman's home in Atlanta stolen through deed fraud. Yeah, that's more better. Elderly woman's home stolen in Atlanta through deed fraud. You should see the story. It happens all the time. And of course, when you have judges like Kenya Johnson, Pinkie Toomer, and that trash that calls themselves Superior Court judges in Fulton County, that's going to happen. It's going to happen. Hold on, everybody. Hello? Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Hello?
Hello? you there? Hello?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
I'm great. I was calling. My name is my name is Big Red. You know what I'm saying? I do some everything. I'm an artist. I'm also a co-host on the show that we deal with topics such as the topic you were touching on today with Fulton County.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm actually calling you to extend the invite for you to come to the show as a guest.
Okay.
And you tell your story on the show.
Okay.
And like I was saying, Fred over there, Kareem, he knows me very well and everything. So I really want to get with you and see the availability, and maybe we can mesh up time slots and pretty much have you on the show, and you know what I'm saying, start being, you know what I'm saying, like I say, start being proactive about situations like this.
Of course. Yeah, I have no issue with that at all.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome. So he already told me that he would give you my number, so as soon as you're available and not busy, we can chop it up and we'll figure it out from there. And I'm bringing to the table my people. We can set a date.
That'll be fine.
Okay. Again, my name is Big Red. Everybody knows me as Big Red, but my name really is Bell Hayes. But you can check my resume. I always do BLD. So
Okay.
it is what it is. I really, I'm a real humble guy, so it's a lot of not telling you, but I do a whole lot.
I can understand.
All right. So
But yeah, we'll certainly be talking.
definitely, I appreciate your time.
Definitely.
All right.
Okay. But yes, everybody, it's a lot going on in Fulton County. A lot going on. And it's been going on for years. And so, however, when you think about what's going on in these different situations now, there's this is not the time, everybody, to be playing about your parents' estate, your own estate, because a lot of you have children, and that's what I think about all the time. A lot of you have children yourselves. Whether you have a will or not, it doesn't make a difference. I'm going to say that because it really doesn't. Georgia law has laws for interstate estates. Interstate means you died without a will. There are laws in place already that protects you whether you have a will or not. That issue again, and sometimes I think sometimes it's best, if you don't have a will, if you nominate somebody that you trust or everybody trusts, and instead of just nominating one person, it should be maybe two. That's my thing. Nominate not one person. And if for those of you who have a will, you may want to go back to your lawyer and you may want to put somebody else in the will. You should have two executives or two executives, maybe an executive and executrix means woman and man. I don't care. But you need to have two people. I strongly suggest two people, not one. One and there is some cases where the parents nominated all the children. And you can legally do that, people. Let me make sure you understand it. And I said it. I don't care who don't like the fact I'm giving legal advice. I'm gonna give what I want to give, and I'm prepared to go to court on anybody. Because when I show a jury what Fulton County did to my late mother and I'm not going to be convicted, so I'm not worried about that. At the end of the day, if you want to nominate all of your children to be the executors and executors of your estate, you need to do that. That way, one don't have more power than the other. Everybody is an executor. Everybody is an executrix. And there's a case too. As a matter of fact, let me tell you, I'm gonna give you all this case. Well, this man, he did that. I want you to read the case too. Let's see. It's the estate of John Malcolm Wade, decided in 2015. You can write down or go on Google and put in estate of John Malcolm Wade, 2015. Read that case. This man nominated all of his children to be the executors and executors of his estate. In that case, everybody, there was some mismanagement going on. So one of the executors, which was a daughter, 25 years after that man passed away, she filed a petition for settlement of accounts in the court. The brothers, the executors rather, they said, "Oh no, statute of limitations ran out on you. You can't file a petition for settlements of accounts." You should have done that 10 years ago or 20 years ago. Well, guess what, everybody? The Supreme Court ruled in her favor. And they said if the estate is open, we don't even worry about no statute of limitations. They couldn't take that. And I will say to you all, that's why it's so important to read case law, appellate court case law like I do. One thing I'm glad about is learning estate law from a real probate attorney and then turning around and being able to go and pull case law to be able to inform you about. I'm not going to tell you something that's not true. That's why I give you that case law. I want you to go read those cases so you can see for yourself just how these appellate courts rule in favor of an executor or an executive or a beneficiary. Just like I will say again, I want you to read Benefield v. Martin. I want you to read Greenway v. Hamilton that I've already given you. These are cases that are noteworthy, and you need to read them to understand what's going on in these appellate courts if you have to file an appeal. Because 9 times out of 10, if you violate an estate, you're going to lose on appeal. That's for sure. And you're going to be liable to that estate. And 9 times out of 10, you may be arrested too. But if you have trash judges like what's in Fulton County that will help you out, just like in Fulton County. But see, here's just the issue that's going to happen in Fulton County coming up. As now that I'm suing everybody, I'm getting ready to sue. Matter of fact, I already filed a lawsuit against the judge in Cobb County. Once that's dealt with, now I'm going to come into Fulton County Probate Court, and I'm getting ready to sue them too. I can't wait for them to go run into that judicial immunity and that qualified immunity. See, I have too much evidence against Miles Braxton, Angela McCullough, Kenya Johnson. You're not going to be able to have any immunity. See, one thing about immunity, you are a judge or anybody, and that includes a police officer too. If you violate an already established constitutional right, you lose your immunity. That's one thing about that judicial immunity and qualified immunity. Get educated, people. That's something we in the black community don't really want to do. You think because you have a law, basically a degree, that you went to a certain college or whatever, that has nothing to do with learning the law. That's the truth. And a lot of you will hire an attorney, and you don't even really know what you're hiring an attorney for. See, one thing about me, when I hired my attorney, I already knew what my case was about. I talk legal jargon with my lawyer. We talk about appellate court case law. I love it too. And I have a very smart civil rights attorney. Very smart. Very good at what he does. And he is so glad that I am legally educated because he can throw legal words at me. Or he can say, when you have a chance, read this case. You might like this case. Read this case. Read that case. And certainly I read it. I want you all to understand, having a will or not in Fulton County, you don't have to be violated. Stop letting these corrupt tyrants with black robes on violate you. I have no intention of allowing Pinkie T. Toomer, as trash can as she is, and Kenya Johnson, as trash can as she is, and even Christopher Brasher, the outgoing chief judge of Fulton County, he's trash too. I have no intention, Miles Braxton, Angela McCullough, any of these people that works in the probate court. And I'm also going to go after their jobs too. I don't think Miles Braxton or Angela McCullough needs to be in the Fulton County probate court. When that lawsuit is filed, I'm also suing to have them removed from office. They need to be fired. And for those of you who may not know this, those court employees, they're not county employees, everybody. They're not county employees. They work for the judge. They are at will employees of the judge. And that's something I didn't know until I started learning the law. So let's just be clear about that. They're not county employees. They work for the judge. They are at will employees. So always remember that. And you know what, people? I'm going to say this to you. Do what I did as well. When you know you're having issues in the courts, you have the legal right to record yourself, video record yourself. As long as you're not in the courtroom, When you go to like let's just say you go to the probate court to file your documents, even if you go to superior court, you have the legal right to video yourself. You have that legal right to do that. You can do that. And everybody, you're listening to James Pitts on bldradio.com. Again, that's bldradio.com. The most important thing, you all, especially us in the black community, you need to get legally educated. Get legally educated, people. I couldn't care less about anything else other than making sure that my mother's case is going to have its day in court in Clayton County coming up. My motion to transfer was already filed several months ago. And that is the basis of my lawsuit coming up. How can a judge, let me tell y'all what Kenya Johnson did, everybody, which is the basis of my lawsuit coming up. When I filed my petition last year in January, I paid my fees of $174. She granted my petition. Now, I would say in January, beginning around February, I started calling the probate court, maybe once or twice a month. When am I going to get a hearing? When am I going to get my day in court? Oh, since COVID going on, this liar, Miles Braxton, the staff attorney, and Angela McCullough, the judicial legal assistant. These are lies they're telling me. And of course, I'm going to put the emails up online for everybody to see too, so you can read that. However, month after month, the lie was, oh, we have COVID, we got cases, before COVID. It wasn't nothing but a lie. Later on down the line, 7 months later, Kenya Johnson secretly recused herself from hearing my mother's case. Then she used this lie about me being, I was charged with threatening her predecessor, which was Pinkie Toomer, threatening to shoot her. Everybody, and I'm going to discuss that too coming up. But that was her reason for recusing herself. When you recuse yourself, everybody, a judge must hold a hearing. A judge must hold a hearing. And I'm the only person that she told that to. That's called ex parte communication, which is not even legal. So then when she recused herself, they sent my mother's case to the chief judge of Fulton County, Christopher Brasher. He turned around and sent my mother's case to Cobb County, to the Superior Court. And many of you who have sent me emails and even called me after last Saturday was asking me, how can he do that? How is that legal? It's not. Because again, a Superior Court judge cannot appoint another judge to be a probate court judge. You don't have that legal right to do that. A Superior Court judge cannot miraculously become a probate court judge. So any orders that a Superior Court judge would have granted, let's just say this, everybody. I'm going to play devil's advocate. Let's just say that Superior Court judge in Cobb County said, oh, Mr. Pitts, come to Cobb County. Now what you want? You want $150,000 from that attorney? Oh, you want your mother's case, this, that, and the other? Oh, here's your order for it. That lying attorney could have got his lawyer, and he could have said, these orders are no good. You know why? Because that Superior Court judge, he lacks subject matter jurisdiction. I'm just going to file a motion to dismiss. And guess what, everybody? Even on appeal, it would have been dismissed. You know why it would have been dismissed? Because a Superior Court judge lacks subject matter jurisdiction when it comes to petitions for the settlements of accounts. And then on top of that, you're only talking to me. You're not even talking to this lawyer that represented my cousin and also stole from my mother's estate. You're emailing me. This judge, everybody, was emailing me. When do we start having court on Sunday, everybody? Matter of fact, I'm going to put up the lawsuit that my lawyer filed in Cobb County. I want you all to see the emails that's in it. This judge emailed me around 8 o'clock Sunday night with his order telling the probate court to close my mother's case, which you have no legal right to do. But his first email to me was telling me, let me know who I need to serve. But you already said to me in your emails that you have the record from the probate court. Why would you ask me who you need to serve? But that's the corruption, everybody. And see, I played along with his game because, I already knew from the beginning that the Superior Court lacks subject matter jurisdiction when it comes to probate court cases. You're limited to certain cases when it comes to Superior Court. But when it came to the petition, I already know a Superior Court judge cannot. He has no jurisdiction because I already knew I was going to sue. I played the game very well. And even my lawyer said, Mr. Pitts, that was a very good move that you pulled. Yeah, I know. I know. See, when you have intentions to sue these corrupt tyrants and you're legally educated like I am, you go along with it. I can't wait to see what he's going to say to that lawsuit that just been filed because I'm asking the Cobb County chief judge to throw out, to vacate his order, his void judgment. And once he does, I'm going to sue him for monetary damages. From February of this year up to now, you've kept me from going to court. So yeah, you're going to be financially liable to me. You need to be sued. You need to pay me because you lack subject matter jurisdiction to even be in my mother's case, thanks to a chief judge in Fulton County who knew that from the beginning. And that again, everybody, if you have any documents that you file in these courts, make sure you have a second copy for your own records. Make sure it's court stamped too. Make sure it is. Because we do that e-filing now. That's one thing. E-filing is one thing, but in the probate court there is no e-filing. You got to take that mess to the probate court. So let's just say this. If you have if you have any documents, I don't care if you signed them both or in the probate court, but regardless, make sure they stamp them in the court. One for the court, one for you. And do not put your documents in a place you can't find them. Because those corrupt tyrants will turn around and say, oh, we don't have a record of this. We don't have a record of that. Just like they told my lawyer. See, what they didn't think was I was going to do anything. I started to record the phone call when my lawyer called to the probate court. This was last month. He called down because he asked me to call. I said, no, I want you to call. He said, hold on a minute. So we called. It was like during the morning. When he called the probate court, he said, this is Mario Williams. He said his bar number to the receptionist because I gave him the phone number. And when he told them what he was calling for, he said, I need to know about the record of Miss Fannie Renee Pitts. He gave him the estate number 209876. Lo and behold, he said, I need to know the current status of my client, James Pitts' motion to transfer his late mother's case to Clayton County. And the receptionist was like, ooh, she kept telling this, ooh, miss. And he looking at me like, then she said, oh, there's so much going on with this case. Then she says, I have no record of him filing a motion to transfer. He said, ma'am. He said, I am holding a physical copy of his motion to transfer in my hand as court stamp. Oh, let me transfer you to Angela McCall. She may know more about it than I do. See the game plan. Now, I'm going to tell you this. When you start omitting documents, that's a criminal charge. That is a criminal charge. I can't wait till this mess is handled in Cobb County. Because when I come back in Fulton County, all of that's going to be dealt with. All of that. So, the biggest thing about it is, that's what's going on in Fulton County. That's what they will do. Anything, they co-conspire with each other to keep you out of court. That's what they're doing. And Kenya Johnson thinks that she is immune from what she did, but she's not. She's not immune. She's trying her best to stay as far away from James Pitts as she can. But see, again, I don't want her touching my mother's case. And even when I responded to her nonsense, I let her know you're unfit. And for those of you who don't believe, I'm going to put the document up when I responded to her. You'll see what I said to her. You're unfit to be a probate court judge in Fulton County. I don't bite my tongue to those tyrants. I put it on paper. Corruption knows no bounds in Fulton County. And see, and today it's me. Tomorrow could be one of you. And that's why I'm going to make sure you all understand. Having a will in Fulton County, you better make sure you know what you're doing and who you're dealing with. But I will also say, your will in the end will prevail. Even the Supreme Court has said that many a times in appellate court case law. The testator or the testatrix intent must prevail. The only way the terms of your will can be changed is if all your beneficiaries or all your heirs, meaning your children or whoever else that you have put in your will, they have to agree. Let's just say you said, I want my daughter to have my house. but you got 6 children. But your daughter may say, I want my brothers and sisters to own the house with me too. If they all agree to want to have the house too, the judge has no authority to say, no, the house just belongs to you. No, no, no. Supreme Court said we abide by family harmony. So as long as y'all not arguing and fighting with each other, and y'all want to take that house together, y'all gonna have that house together. That's how that goes. They promote family harmony. As long as you all not arguing, fussing, and fighting with each other, and if all y'all want to own that house, even though your mother said you own the house as solely, guess what? What you agree with your brothers and sisters is gonna stand over what your mother said. That's how that works. Promoting family harmony. And Google if you don't believe me. Just Google Georgia's family harmony doctrine. You'll see what it says. I will not make false statements about what Georgia law says. So again, yes, having a will is very important. But again, if everybody agrees to something else as to what you want somebody to have, what they say is going to prevail. Not you, the testator or the testatrix of that will, who used to own that. But if y'all don't agree, you got to go by the will. That's how that works.
Okay. You know, wrap it up. Give me a tag, tell them tune in next week and all that. I ain't stopped yet.
So again, everybody, that's where you stand. What were you saying?
Tune in next week. Wrap it up now. We actually 15 minutes over.
Put my show at 2 hours.
Oh yeah, that's right. I'm thinking it's out. I'm so sorry, bro. Get out of here. Take your ring, get out of here.
Yes, my show is 2 hours.
Yeah, I forgot. I'm sorry. Take your ring, get out of here. That's definitely a good look. Who just called in? Definitely a good look for you. I forgot. I'm like,
Technical difficulties, everybody. Technical difficulties. Ignore that. But like I'm going to say also again, I want you to get legally educated, people. Get legally educated. It's so important to get legally educated. There will always be corruption in these courts, not just Fulton County. There will always be corruption. It's not the corruption that you have to deal with, it's the people behind that corruption that you have to deal with. And see, I used to hear people say, oh, vote for black people. We don't have enough black people in office. I wouldn't vote for, oh, please. Like I said, I would never vote for somebody just because they're black. I would not. I would never vote for somebody just because they're black. I refuse, if I were to ever become a registered voter in Georgia, I will never vote for somebody because of their skin complexion or their race. If you're not helping the people and doing for the people, and not just black people, if you're not a person for the people of all races, you're not going to get my vote. You will not get my vote. And that's what I would say to all of you. Stop voting for these tyrants, these lying candidates. I don't care if it's Raphael Warnock. I don't care if it's Herschel Walker, Stacey Abrams, that trash that calls himself the governor of Georgia, Brian Kemp, who's so concerned about what a woman do with her body. Stop voting for these people because of their race. You need to understand it's worthless. It's worthless. These people are not doing anything for you. I'm still trying to figure out what are they doing for you. I haven't seen nothing any of these people have done thus far. And see what I find interesting about Brian Kemp, he's trying to pass all these laws and all this stuff right now. He's doing anything he can to stay in office. And you know, just like people are going after Donald Trump, I don't care about Donald Trump, Herschel Walker. I don't have any loyalty to any of these people. I don't care if they're Republican or Democrat. I couldn't care less about none of them, to be honest with you. But right is right and wrong is wrong. Don't go telling me about what Donald Trump did 7 years ago just because it's election time. Don't go telling me about what Herschel Walker did to his wife, ex-wife, 7 years ago, when you had all year to talk about that. Why are you going to wait till election time to start trashing these people? I can't stand that trash mess. Those trash ads, they do nothing for me. Why would you do that? Why would you wait till election time to start talking about Herschel Walker, what he did? He ain't in prison. He's not in prison. He might talk stupid, but who don't? A lot of these people, you got everyday people talk about as dumb as he do. But you don't talk about those people. And however the case may be, regardless whoever wins for what they're voting, what they're running for, it doesn't make a difference. The question is, what are they going to do for the people? What are they going to do for the people? Stacey Abrams, she's talking about what she's going to do for teachers and all these other people. Please. Just like I look at Joe Biden the same way. Joe Biden he was the vice president at one time. If all these things he was talking about he was going to do, he could have done then. He didn't do it. Just like I look at Fannie Willis. She used to be an assistant district attorney under Paul Howard. Why weren't you worried about gangs then? Why weren't you indicting gangs then? But now you trying to make a name for yourself. You got corrupt probate court judges letting people violate wills. You're not worried about that though, Fannie Willis, Sonia Allen. Not worried about those people. But you worried about Donald Trump and a phone call. You worried about all these black rappers and their lyrics. And I'm so glad that they're now trying to pass laws to stop that. Because I feel like this: if you're going to use lyrics to a song to put people in jail, what about these people who write movies? These writers for these movies, these scary movies, all this other mess. Next will be them too. Why would you not do that to them? I don't find nothing funny about that. And I do hope there are laws passed that will prevent any district attorney from taking somebody's lyrics and using them against them. I'm a jazz music lover myself. I don't really get into rap music like that. I listen to it every now and then, whatever. I used to work in a nightclub many years ago. I like it every now and then, but however, I'm a jazz person. But when you start allowing district attorneys to take music and use it against you, it's a cold day. And however, I look at the young people who are losing their lives. Now your family may have to go to probate court, just like the young football player that got killed. Now, next thing you know, his family may have to, of course, they're going to have to go to probate court. Now, I wonder how his estate will be treated. I know he didn't have a will because he's not even that old. He's like 17, I think 17 years old. But regardless, he still has an estate. His mother would have to be appointed the administrator of his estate so she can handle things in his name. Hopefully, the probate court judge in Gwinnett County won't be the same as this probate court. Well, only time will tell. So you have to always know this is where we are today in these courts. People are dying every single day. And it's time to bring attention to how these probate courts are working. Whether you have a will or not, it doesn't make a difference. They are violating your will, and if you don't have one, they're still allowing these people to violate what you have. And that needs to stop. I look forward to providing all the documentation coming up concerning my lawsuit I just filed in Cobb County against the Cobb County Superior Court judge, because once what he did is thrown out, I'm going to turn around and sue him a second time for monetary damages for violating my 14th Amendment right to procedural due process. You have no subject matter jurisdiction in Fulton County. Even if you did have subject matter jurisdiction, you cannot rule against me without me going to court. That's what they were doing. See, again, for those of you who don't know this, avoid judgment is also this. Let's just say you have a judgment from a court. If you've never been to court, to be able to say how you feel about it or you present evidence, that's still a violation of your 14th Amendment right to due process. And you can sue for that. You have a right to go to court. especially when you don't have a frivolous case. And that's interesting within itself. And that's what they did to me. That's what they did to two other people that I'm aware of. And it continued. And I just wonder how many more people before myself and the two people I know of that they've done this to. And I intend to find out. And it's been going on for years. So I'm looking forward to seeing who else has not been to court, who may have pending cases in the probate court of Fulton County, and yet they've been lied to keep them out of court. But again, if anybody wants to call on my show, 470-708-1833. Again, 470-708-1833. These courts are corrupt. They've been corrupt for years. And I'm so glad that I'm the one that's getting ready to bring exposure to Fulton County. And I don't care who I offend. But one thing I can assure you is not a judge in that courthouse that can step to me in front of everybody else and say I'm a liar. Won't be able to do it. Will not be able to do it. Because see, I have physical documents, emails to back up all of my allegations, legal filings to show how they conspired against me to keep me out of the courts, using a void judgment from a Superior Court judge from 2011 is no good. Civil conspiracy. And a lot of times, too, just like these lawyers, for those of you who don't know this, a lawyer is not allowed to write a bad check. So just like this lawyer in my mother's case that was representing my cousin, the check he stole, insurance check he stole from me, it bounced twice. How do I know? Because I subpoenaed the bank statement. Legally, he would be disbarred for that alone. Then he also lied to the State Bar of Georgia, and they allowed him to lie to them. And I have proof of that. And I'm considering suing the State Bar of Georgia coming up as well. And yes, the State Bar of Georgia people can be sued. For those of you who don't know that, the State Bar of Georgia can be sued and they can sue. Because again, there are lawyers being disbarred for things a lot less than what this lawyer did to my late mother's estate and I. And that's the interesting thing about it. This lawyer is going to be looking at criminal charges in open court coming up. And see, just like I told my civil rights attorney, once my mother's case is transferred to Clayton County, I don't care how many lawyers that this lawyer has with him in that courtroom. I'm going to use his own words against him. And I just like, because even my civil rights attorney asked me, he's like, Mr. Pitts, do you want me to get you a probate attorney? I already got one. My probate attorney who taught me the law, he's going to be at court. I want him to watch me represent myself in that courtroom in Clayton County coming up. Because Fulton County will not touch my case. No, my mother's case will not be handled in Fulton County anymore. As soon as I get Edward R. Downs Jr. in that courtroom, I'm going to ask him direct questions centered around the money that he enabled my cousin to steal and the money he stole. And then I'm going to pull out his own documentation to the police, to the courts, and to the State Bar of Georgia. And I'm going to also say to the probate court judge, because I'm going to also pay for a court reporter to be in the room. Every word that comes out of my mouth and his mouth, I want it recorded. And as soon as he opens his mouth and lies on record, I'm going to ask the judge to arrest him in open court. And if she or he doesn't do that, then I'm going to sue for Clayton County. Because that's going to be a clear statement that you are part of the civil conspiracy too. You cannot raise your right hand in a courtroom and tell lies. And when I have evidence of your lies, that is definitely perjury under oath. I want this man arrested in open court, and I want him disbarred. And I'm going to amend my petition too, from $150,000 to $375,000 against him. And I think I want a jury trial too. And everybody, yes, you can have a jury trial in probate court. Yes, you surely can. Google it, you'll see. You can also request a jury trial in probate court. Because I really think I want a jury to tell me, after hearing and seeing all of my evidence against this lying lawyer and my cousin, I think I want to go with what they say. If they say 500,000, if they say 50,000, whatever that jury says, I'm going to accept. There will be no appeals on my behalf in regards to a damage a claim against him. I'm going to accept that because I got my day in court, and a jury of my peers told me what they wanted me to have. Because this is really not about money to me. This is about getting justice for my late mother and I. That's what it's about, and also educating others before me and after me. That's what it's about. I want the public to learn from this. And I want you to understand that this should not be happening in these courts. To know that my mother passed away in 2008, here we are in 2022, and her estate is still open due to theft, lies, and false documents. And you have Fulton County basically protecting a previous probate court judge and a lawyer and depriving me of my day in court. But it's not going to work coming up. I'm so glad now that lawsuits are getting filed. You won't have a choice now. Now you got to figure out your new strategy. What is going to be your reason for lying to me for all these years? Fulton County, probate court, Fulton County government, Fulton County Superior Court. What is going to be your lies, the reason why you lied to me for all these years to keep me out of court? It's not going to work. You have no immunity. I'm going to love this coming up. And I'm certainly going to show the public what they had to say. I want you all to see just how these corrupt tyrants operate. I feel like if I'm going to expose one side of the story, I'm going to expose both sides. I want you to be able to read the documents. And also, as well, I'm going to eventually have a forum where people can come out to meet me. Because I know you all have your own stories that you have about these courts. I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. And a lot of you are so embarrassed or you feel ashamed to tell your story. And let me say this to some of you. Some of you always want to say, I don't put my business on the internet. Man, please, let me tell you something. You do not live in this world by yourself. People already know your business. All you need to know, this is how you look at it. Once you fall out with certain people, watch your business get told. Don't nobody live in this world and don't nobody know your business. I don't care what nobody know about mine. I put my own business in the public. You can't find, there is no exposing James Pitts. Anything you read on the internet about me, you better believe 9 times out of 10, I'm the one that put it up there. I'm the author of it. I have nothing to be ashamed of. I have nothing to be embarrassed about. Because first and foremost, I'm defending my late mother. I have no problem telling the public about the corruption in the probate court of Fulton County and what took place and what's about to take place. There's no embarrassing over here. Can't nobody say, oh, I heard this, I heard that. No, you didn't. You didn't hear anything. Not when it comes to me. You didn't hear anything. Because if you read it online, I'm the one that put it up there. That's why I give out my Twitter page. That's why I give out my blog. And again, it's jamesisajeweler.blogspot.com and twitter.com/jamesisajeweler. That's that information I put out there. My phone number is online. I have nothing to hide because it's coming to a point to where some of these judges need to be removed from the office. I can't wait to see how Kenya Johnson is going to try to defend herself coming up. You up here, you're recusing yourself, centered around what? You are recusing yourself, knowing good and well you should have had a hearing. You voluntarily recused yourself 7 months after I filed a petition in the court, and with no prior notice to me or even the other side. That's not how that works. That's not how that works. People have a right to be told the truth. And that's not what's going on in Fulton County. And let me also, because I told you all last week as well, let me tell you what the Fulton County Sheriff's Office did to me and a county employee. When I filed 3 motions in 2016 to go to court, in 2017, unbeknownst to me, and I'm going to tell you again, I knew nothing about any of this. When I started threatening to sue Fulton County in 2016, behind my back, there was a court employee that worked. He's the executive director for the Council for Probate Court Judges. Kevin Holder is his name. He and Pinkie Toomer got together. He proclaimed I called his office, left several voice messages on his phone threatening to shoot her. Everybody, on Valentine's Day 2017, you would have thought I was El Chapo. The FBI, the Fulton County Sheriff's Office, and the Atlanta Police Department was at my house. It had to be between 30 to 40 vehicles unmarked at my house. They took me into custody. From my house to the Fulton County Jail, I sat in. They had no warrants when they came to my house either. Am I taking legal action? Yes, I am. I surely am. I already done that. I sat in the Fulton County Jail for 9 days before I went to the Fulton County Superior Court. Still didn't go before a judge. Then they tried to keep me in jail longer. And I was like, oh no. They had, mind you, they had got me a public defender. They never even asked me, could I afford my own attorney, which I could have. They had already had me an attorney, a public defender. Well, when they tried to take my date for a bond hearing, I called her. She ended up getting me a bond hearing around March 16th. Well, everybody, at my bond hearing on March 16, 2008, no, March 8, it was March 16, 2017. When I was at this bond hearing, nobody was there. No judge, no police, nobody but the prosecutor. Judge Craig Schwall was the judge. As a matter of fact, I'm going to put these documents online for everybody to read too. Paul Howard was the district attorney at the time. Judge Craig Schwall said to the prosecutor in open court, I thought I told you the next time we visited this case, I wanted Judge Pinkie Toomer in my courtroom. Do you know what the prosecutor did? He smirked and laughed like it was funny with a cheap, tight suit on, talking about she decided not to make an appearance. Judge Craig Schwall reared back in his chair and said she decided not to make an appearance. And then, remind you, we're talking about Pinkie Toomer, the trash can previous probate court judge, the corruption of Fulton County, the dishonorable Pinkie Toomer. And I said that anybody got a problem, you already know my address and my number. Now, she never showed up in court for over a year. Nobody, the FBI, the Fulton County Sheriff's Office, nobody ever came to court. Well, at my bond hearing, after the DA said what he said, Judge Craig Schwall reared back in his chair. He said to the public defender, what's Mr. Pitts' charges again? And as she called him out, he said $10,000 signature bond, $10,000 signature bond, $1,000 signature bond. Because they had me for making terroristic threats, harassing communications, and intimidating a court official. None of this was true. None of it. None of it. See, they knew not to come to court because they know they would have to take that oath and sit on that bench. They didn't want to do that. Well, for over a year, I'm going to court watching everybody else's case play out. I never had to stand before the judge. Every month from March of 2017 all the way up to June of 2018. That's the only time I think I stood before Judge Craig Schwall one time out of all that time. And that's when I said to him, because I did not want him to dismiss my case. I asked him not to dismiss my case. I wanted to go to trial. I wanted to get Pinkie Toomer in that courtroom because I wanted to show a jury what she did to my late mother's estate, what she allowed to happen. I really did. But Judge Craig Schwall dismissed my case in my favor. There was no factual basis to the indictment. But if you all could have seen how many unmarked cars and trucks and vans was at my house between 3 and 4 o'clock on Valentine's Day 2017, it was like a movie scene. You would have thought I was the biggest drug dealer in the state of, matter of fact, in the United States. They had long rifles aimed at me, handguns, they running up the street, all based upon lies. And see, even that case is going to take center stage coming up. They did that to try to scare me off, to keep me away from clearing up the lies and theft in my mother's estate. That's what they did. It didn't work though. And even when I got out of jail, The judge told me not to file no court documents. Let me tell you what they did in Fulton County while I was in jail. Do you know they sent my mother's case secretly, without my knowledge, to Gwinnett County to the probate court? They was having court without me. That's illegal. That is a violation of my due process rights as well. How are you having court with my mother's case when you know I have been arrested? And I'm the one prosecuting my mother's case. They felt like we would go ahead and clear up his mother's case now that we know he can't file no documents in the court. But see, again, none of that is legal. So therefore, everything you did in Gwinnett County is void. I love the fact of having legal knowledge because it has been so helpful to me. All of those orders from the Gwinnett County Probate Court are no good. And that's all they've been using lately. Anything they can to try to keep me out of the court. But now that I'm suing, things are changing. And that's the greatest thing about a lawsuit. That's the greatest thing about lawsuits. And then when you bring an attorney, especially one as good as mine, Mario Williams, very good civil rights attorney. You can Google him. Mario Williams. Very good civil rights attorney. He ain't cheap either, but by the same token, he's well worth every dime. He knows his law. These people in the probate court of Fulton County are getting ready to have to pay me. I've already filed my anti-liability notice of $5 million. Like I told my lawyer, when it goes to trial, whatever that, take the $5 million off the table. Whatever that jury says, I'm going to accept it. There will be no appeals on my behalf in regards to what they say, what they feel I should get. Because you know why? It's not about money really for me anyway. It's about having my day in court to clear up the lies and the theft in my mother's estate and to hold these tyrants accountable for what they allowed to happen to my late mother and I. And I look forward to that. I really do look forward to it. At the same time, you all need to realize these people are going to continue doing what they're doing if you don't stand up for your rights in these courts. You have to stand up against corruption, people. You have to. Otherwise, you're going to be violated. You're going to be lied on, and this is over a deceased person. My mother is deceased. Why wouldn't you want to bring a person to court and make them accountable for theft and filing false documents in the court? And that's something they haven't done. And that's something they don't want to do, but now they're going to have to. And they're going to have to pay for it. Over 14 years since the death of my mother. And this is what these corrupt tyrants have been doing. And see, like I will say again, today it's me, tomorrow could be one of you. And with the way people are dying now, I tell you, nobody should have to deal with that. But yet, it's true. It's happening in the Fulton County Probate Court. And the biggest question that I have, and I'm going to get to the bottom of, is how many more people has this happened to? How many more people have not gone to court based upon the previous probate court judge, Pinkie Toomer, with the help of this new probate court judge, Kenya Johnson? As you all heard last Saturday, when Carmela Sherrington was telling you about her father, he's not deceased. This corrupt trash, Kenya Johnson, sitting on a bench just taking notes instead of doing what she's supposed to do as a judge. You mean to tell me you're not going to let this man's children be his guardian? You're going to put somebody from the court over her father? Why not his children? Or at least one of his children? You're asking this man's children, who do they want to select? Why do they need to select anybody other than themselves or one of them? Why would you? But see, again, I'm going to tell all of you. See, it's about this stick together thing. Of course, they're going to look out for each other as these court employees because they're getting paid from that, from your estate. Even if they have to sell your house to get paid, they'll do that too. It's all about money with these courts, especially in the probate court. They'll bypass the children to put one of their own in place of your mother, your father. But see, that would have never happened with me. If my mother was still alive, ain't no way in hell I would have allowed a probate court judge to tell me I'm not going to take care of my mother. I would have sued Kenya Johnson or Pinkie Toomer. I would have certainly got an injunction to prevent them from telling me that I'm not going to be the guardian of my mother or the conservator of my mother. It would have never happened. And yes, Carmela Sherrington does have a recourse. She can certainly file a complaint for declaratory and injunctive relief. You can sue a judge, people, either in superior court or in federal court, when it comes down to a declaratory or for a complaint for declaratory or an injunctive relief. What you're asking a court is to say to declare what they're doing is wrong, and now you want an injunction to prevent them from doing it, or you want something to say, this is what you need to do. That's what you should do. Don't let these judges feel like they're so high and mighty that they can violate you and get away with it. Over 14 years since the death of my mother. And yeah, I'm still fighting this case. But see, in the beginning stages, it was just me. Learning the law, just doing all these things I've been doing. But now that lawyers are involved, and now lawsuits are being filed, it's no longer just me, like it used to be. It's now just me and my lawyer, and lawsuits being filed. And the greatest thing about it is we're going to see just how these courts actually operate. That's what I'm going to love about this too. I'm going to love this. I look forward to seeing what Miles Braxton has to say, the staff attorney for that corrupt judge in Fulton County Probate Court. I look forward to seeing that. I look forward to seeing what Angela McCullough has to say, the judicial legal assistant for that trash judge, Kenya Johnson. Civil conspiracy is something that is a very serious thing. When you all co-conspire with one another to keep somebody out of court, to violate their 14th Amendment right to due process, you don't have any immunity. The theft of $7,712.99 from my mother's estate. They started with trying to protect this lawyer, having me unlawfully arrested, anything they could to make me go away. And as soon as that judge in the Fulton County Superior Court dropped my charge, I went right back to my mother's case, filing documents in the probate court. When I stepped up in the probate court, they was shocked to see my face, because they really thought after that unlawful arrest that it was over with. They would have to deal with me no more, and that was not true. That was definitely not true. As I've said many times before, the fact that my mother had a will, and a lot of people may not have one, I do not want you all to think if you have a will, it means nothing in Fulton County. That's not what I'm ever going to say, because that's not true. Because at the end of the day, your will prevail. But you need to have somebody like myself who's not going to allow your will to be violated. Even if you don't have a will, you need to have somebody like myself who's going to fight for you even in your death. Both my brothers have basically said, we let you handle everything. And that's exactly what I intend to do. I don't need their help. I've been dealing with this since the death of my mother, and I'm going to see it to the end. And all three of us are going to come together after I'm done, and we're going to rejoice over this. After I hold all these tyrants accountable. I may even throw a block party in downtown Atlanta, in front of the courthouse, just to expose these tyrants and now that justice has been served. It's really interesting. And see, for those of you, I have a copy of Whitney Houston's will. And to know that Pinkie Toomer was the judge at the time, she made sure Bobby Christina got everything that Whitney told her she wanted her to have. There was no issue with that. She didn't give Bobby Christina's lawyers no problems. She made sure. See, they're so starstruck in Fulton County. That's something. Even Fannie Willis, she's all of us starstruck individuals. They'll jump head over heels for celebrities. Just like your hip hop Atlanta mayor. Every time you turn around, you don't see him in your neighborhood. You see him at somebody's football game, somebody's basketball game. That man ain't studying neither one of you. All you that voted for him. That man ain't studying you. Let's just call it what it is. And all the stuff that he is doing, that mess don't impress me at all. What about town hall meetings where the people can come out and talk to this so-called hip hop mayor and let him know what's going on in your neighborhood? All these police he said he was going to hire and all this other nonsense, where they at? And the ones that are on the force, they're violating you every day. Did you see the police officer that slammed the white lady down to the floor, or to the ground rather, messed up her face? I mean, a matter of fact, that wasn't an Atlanta police officer either. It was in another county here in Georgia, but still interesting. These police chiefs do not care one bit about what these police officers on these streets are doing. The city of Atlanta is paying out lawsuits right now. Just paid a transgender woman, had to pay her $2.5 million. And the lawyers went back to court, then got $600,000 in legal fees against the police officer. Now they got a $100 million lawsuit where the $100 million part got, well, $60 million got reversed, but $40 million still against an Atlanta police officer. All this money that could be doing something for a community in the city of Atlanta, but you're paying out lawsuits, all because you have incompetent elected officials in office. Been had incompetent elected officials in office for many years. Excuse me. It's interesting, but it's true. And when I hear people say, if you don't vote, you don't count. The hell if I don't. I don't have to vote to count. A vote will never make or break me. I'm still trying to figure out what has it done so far for those of you who do vote. I'm still trying to figure that out. I sit back and watch this mess. I've done it for many years. I still see I just don't see the logic of it. You all stand out in line, thinking these people are going to do all these great things, and you get the same thing for the next 4 years. The same nothing for the next 4 years. How interesting is that? But that's where we are when it comes down to this voting. But I will say this, when Fonnie Willis's term is up and Patrick Labatt's term is up, don't vote for those people again. Don't vote for them again. Only thing she cares about, is concerned about, is trying to make a name for herself. You worried about Donald Trump and rich black rappers and the lyrics in their music. I don't get it. You was an assistant district attorney under Paul Howard. She was also one of the district attorneys on the APS cheating scandal case. Now, if you were so concerned about gangs, why didn't you do that then? She had more than enough time to deal with gang violence and gangs when she was an assistant district attorney, and she didn't do none of that. Now that you are the top prosecutor, you are concerned about street gangs, and you worried about a phone call that Donald Trump made. And then she want to talk about she getting death threats. Now, you ain't proved yet. Did you? Where they at? Why have we heard about nobody being arrested? That's the same thing with Rob Pitts. Why haven't we heard about anybody other than that one person that got arrested, that little 14-year-old boy? I think he threatened the sheriff. Why don't we ever hear about these people getting arrested? But you proclaim you're getting all these death threats. Never hear about that because they be lying. They'll do anything to get some extra money out of the county. That's all it's about. See, she want to be able to feel like she's the president herself. She wants to go places with 20 and 30 police, officers and security and all this, her own security detail, like she's some great, outstanding person. That's what it's all about. But you're not concerned about what's going on in the probate court of Fulton County, though. At least not yet. But I tell you all this. As these lawsuits get filed, and as my mother's case goes through the court, You watch what Fonnie Willis does then. I can only imagine, and I'm pretty sure Fonnie Willis is going to want to meet with me. I don't want to meet with that trash because the words that are going to come out of my mouth to Fonnie Willis will probably get me some charges. I don't even want to meet her at this point. I'm going to deal with that lawyer and my cousin in another jurisdiction. I'm going to let the Supreme Court deal with these judges because I'm going to certainly put these judges in the legal newspapers. I'm going to put them in the Atlanta Journal. I'm going to pay for it. I'm going to send direct documentation to the Supreme Court. I'm going to put these judges before the Supreme Court. They need to be off the bench. They need to be off the bench. And their court employees need to be out of the courthouse. Because when you start taking documents and not putting documents that people are paying for or filing on estate cases, you are up here taking them and putting them somewhere else, that's a crime. You have no legal right to block a document from being filed on a case because of what a judge said from another jurisdiction who has no subject matter jurisdiction. And all that will be addressed in my upcoming lawsuit against the Fulton County Probate Court. First thing first, I'm dealing with that Cobb County judge. I'm moving to have his order vacated, and then I'm going to sue him for financial monetary damages for basically violating my 14th Amendment right to due process ever since February of this year. You had no business sticking your nose in a probate court case in another jurisdiction that you don't live in, you don't work in, and you have no subject matter jurisdiction to be even dealing with. You cannot be weak, people, when you deal with corruption. You got to fight corruption, and you have to know you're going to win. And that's something that I intend to make sure of. My mother was more than her house. She was more than that money, that little money she had in the bank, more than the insurance money that I fought for. That should have been way more than what he settled for. That lawyer, Edward R. Downs Jr. It's not about that. It's about holding these people accountable for what they're doing. That's what it's all about. That's what it's always been about with me. And so many people have said to me in my neighborhood, don't let them off the hook. I'm not. And that's what they can't stand. That's the biggest thing they can't stand, is that I will not let it go. I'm not going to. I refuse to let it go. I have no intention of letting it go until my mother's case has been handled, money has been recovered, people have gone to jail, and a criminal case is set up, and that's where I stand. And this lawyer, this bar, I have no intentions of stopping until all that is done. And even after I get all that done, I'm still going to help others after me. Because there are so many people like me out there that may not be as strong as I am, that may not have the resources that I have and the legal knowledge that I have to do what I'm doing. I just will not allow this to happen to other people without them being able to have a resource to be helped. It's too many of me out there that keep their mouths closed, and that's what I don't like. Don't be silent, people, when it comes down to these corrupt judges, these corrupt lawyers, and these people that you nominate in your will. And for you families, that I would say to you mothers and you fathers, elderly mothers and elderly fathers, if you know your kids don't get along, you definitely want to think about putting somebody else also in the place of being an executive or an executive of your estate. Because that's going to, already you're presenting a problem. If your kids don't get along or whatever, and yet you nominated your son or your daughter to be the executive or the executives of your estate. See, let me tell you, in my mother's case, she nominated my cousin. I had never had no problem with him. We always got along. He was her favorite nephew. And I already knew then she made my brother second to him. She nominated my brother, my older brother, second to him. So I never had an issue with that. I already knew that from years prior before her passing. But see, here's the thing about that. When I actually read my mother's will, she disinherited her sister, which is his mother. She disinherited everybody in our family but her children. My brothers and I were the only ones who were to take from her estate. She I guess he felt like, since she did not give him nothing, he was going to basically go after us and her, and that didn't work. And see, here's another thing too. Even in her will, she basically stated that she disinherited her sister, which legally she could have just not said nothing, but she did. And see, even though my mother disinherited my aunt, my mother knew I treated my aunt the same way I treated my mother. So, like I told my cousin, the last time I spoke with him in December 2008, regardless of what my mother's will said, my brothers and I own everything she has. If I wanted my aunt to have anything out of my mother's house, she would have got it, regardless of what my mother said. Because my mother used to always say, I don't care what nobody say. I know my son ain't gonna let nobody take nothing unless he want them to have it. And see, here sits another issue. Though my mother disinherited her sister, every time my aunt got sick, my mother was at her house. See, that's another thing I always think about too. That's something you all need to look at too. See, you say one thing, but your action shows something else. Anytime my aunt got sick, my mother was at her house taking care of her or bringing her to her house. But in her will, she disinherited her. See, I don't care about what she said in that will. I look at the actions. If my mother really didn't love her sister, she wouldn't be doing what she had done. So therefore, even after my mother's passing, and even though my mother disinherited her sister, anything my mother's sister, my aunt would have wanted out of her house or whatever, I would have made sure she got it. But see, my cousin didn't allow that. He didn't give me that opportunity. He was so hell bent on himself. He felt like he should have gotten something from her. So he felt with the help of an attorney, he would do that, and it didn't work. And see, here's another issue I never knew, and I don't think my mother knew because she never said it to me. My cousin is illiterate. You cannot legally be somebody's executor or executrix of an estate if you cannot read. It's unfortunate, but it's true. And everybody, my hour is about up. It's 6:57 p.m. But I will say again, next week, everybody, my show will be back on air at 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock. It was just a technical difficulty this week. The person who handles my show, he got caught up in another event. But however, so I started my show this time at 5 to 7. But I will be back at my regular time next week from 4 to 6, exposing the corruption in Fulton County. It's very important that I have to do it. I have got to do this, not just for my mother and I, but for you. There are so many of me out there that may not have the resources, may not have the legal knowledge, may not be as strong as me, but that's okay. As long as you know that I exist and you can contact me, I'm certainly going to see what I can do to help you. Corruption needs to stop in these courthouses, especially the Fulton County Probate Court and any other probate court. It needs to stop. And I'm going to give you my email address, my phone number, whatnot. My email address is James Exposes Corruption at gmail.com. James Exposes Corruption at gmail.com. And my phone number is 404-447-5459. Again, 404-447-5459. And of course, I will give you my social media again. I'm on Facebook, facebook.com/James is a jeweler. Again, facebook.com/James is a jeweler. Also, my blog is jamesisajeweler.blogspot.com. Again, jamesisajeweler.blogspot.com. So if you need to contact me, feel free to do so. But I look forward to talking with you all next week from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. on BLDradio.com. Again, I will be on BLDradio.com next week from 4 to 6 p.m. Have a good afternoon, everybody.